Welcome back. Sizzling Summer Series. And it's all about the movies. And today's film, as I said, is The Long Game. And it's based on a true story of Mexican American um, high school from around 1957, late 50s. True story. And they were creating their very first ever golf team. And now you don't have to be a golfer. You don't have to even like golf to understand the themes of this show. Okay, just say that right now. The coach in the movie is playing a long game. He had a vision of what was possible for this group of kids, for the community, the possibilities that were there. And his whole motto was play by the rules. Play by the rules. And he drilled that into them. Now, that might go against the grain for some of us in religious science due to our individuality and our independent thinking, right? However, I am going to ask us to consider, is there a spiritual truth in this strategy? Is there a spiritual truth there? We know that we live in the spiritual system. It's a system of order, it's a system of laws, and when we use it as it's designed, our lives flow pretty well. When we don't, they get a little chaotic pretty quickly, right? And I think this is the message that the coach was trying to instill in this team. Playing by the rules will make your experience of this golf team more pleasant. More pleasant. For us, playing by the rules might look like not spending more than we make. If we spend more than we make, we might experience financial struggles. If we pay our bills as the terms that we've agreed, flows pretty good. If we don't, we ruin our credit and then there's a challenge. If we think all the time about negative things and scary things, we're going to start experiencing more negativity and things to be afraid of. Could it be that playing by the rules really is a great spiritual truth when it comes to spiritual law? Are you playing by the rules? How is your life working in all areas? As I was preparing for today, the book that kept calling to me was The Game of Life and How to Play It. Lawrence Chauvel's Shin. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. She kept coming to my mind. And the very first chapter of that book is called The Game. And in it, she says, most people consider life to be a battle, but it's not a battle. It's a game. And the object of the game of life is to see clearly our good and obliterate all mental pictures of evil. Develop in the conscious and subconscious mind a realization of good. Now, remember, in the science of mind, evil is simply a term used to imply the opposite of good. It has no power. It has no power. So if we know this is how life works, if we know these are the rules, why would we live, think, act outside of that? If we know this works, why do that? Because life happens, right? Because we forget. Because we're human and we're emotional beings and we spin about things. Am I the only one? And I've had a few challenges lately, and they have felt more like battles than they have the game. And I've noticed that it takes focused energy to see my good when those evil mental thoughts want to come back and give me some grief. Shin's word, obliterate. Obliterate means to leave no trace of. It's completely gone. Obliterate those negative thoughts. That's easier said than done, right? Well, that's one of our keys to freedom, is to train our minds to that realization of good, to keep coming back and coming back, and to stop judging everything by its appearance. I'm also a believer in affirmations. they work in helping us to change our mind by continuing to affirm the change, continuing to affirm the good that we want, and to stop focusing on those negative things that created the problem in the first place. One of her affirmations, Shin's affirmations in the book, is I cast this burden on the infinite within and I go free. I cast this burden on the infinite within and I go free. Meaning that I'm now free in my mind of this and that I have cast it to the infinite within me. Now, I actually tried this a few times and it actually does work. I had to stick with it for a bit to get my little negative thoughts out of the way. But then it began to happen, and the surrender part of it. I cast this burden and then I am free. And then embracing that freedom and that openness that comes with that. And what I noticed about it, kind of like going to the gym. If you notice, you can't go in and just do one curl and have a giant shapely bicep, right? The same is kind of true with these affirmations. We have to keep doing them. So I had to keep coming back because my mind wanted to go over there and nibble on those problems some more. It's like, no, 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 no. I cast this burden to the infinite within me. I am free. I don't have to think about it anymore. That's what that means. I don't have to think about it anymore. I think sometimes we forget that universal presence is infinite. That means really big, like bigger than we can imagine, right? It's infinite. And no matter what petty little burden or problem we cast upon it, it just simply absorbs it, neutralizes, and goes on because it only knows good. It is good. It is goodness. So those problems just dissolve in spirit, in source. Author and mystic Lillian de Waters reminds us that your trial, your problem, is not one of evil or sickness, sin, or lack. Your only problem is an understanding that God is the answer to it. Remembering that we don't have to get on the treadmill and work these little problems out all by ourselves. We're part of the big infinite system. I was poking around on Facebook yesterday and I came across a meme. Is that what they're called? A meme, whatever. And someone was asking, do I need the Holy Spirit to get into heaven? And the answer was, honey, you need the Holy Spirit to get into Walmart. And I just thought that was perfect because we do that. It's like, no, God is everywhere. You need the Holy Spirit to go to Walmart just as much as to heaven because heaven's within, right? Sometimes we really do need to get a bigger idea of God. I think it's also important that we understand why we do things, why we say things, why we take the actions that we do, so that we can recognize if life's not working, we can then fix that, right? We can change those actions, we can change those thoughts, those words, and we can do it differently, so to speak. This past Friday, I happened to be in the bank and it was busy and they seemed to be a little understaffed. All the staff had people they were working with, and there were people waiting. And all of a sudden, this woman walks in, and it's like she just announced herself in the whole bank. She walks in and she goes, I have an 11 o'clock appointment. And everybody's like, and one of the bankers said, ma'am, we'll be right with you. Please have a seat. Acknowledged her and asked her to have a seat. She sat down and did this. Well, I left the table that I was at and went, and the only chair was next to her. So I sat down. And she immediately turns to me and begins to berate in a very loud voice, I can't believe how understaffed this bank is. Do you know they're building a new one up at Raintree? I can't believe they think they can staff that bank when they can't staff this bank. They never have. And she's just, and I'm like, I mean, seriously, like, I'm not engaging in this. And she continued on, and I began to just observe and go, wow, what is motivating this? What is her intention with this behavior? Does she believe that this is going to bring her special treatment? Now, the other thing that dawned on me was like, okay, she's coming to the bank to ask a banker for help. Is that the way we usually ask for help? It was just fascinating to me that whose rules was she playing by? And what was her intention? What was she trying to achieve by that behavior, which could be considered rude, but I don't want to judge. Um, but it's a good reminder for us, a good reminder for us to pay attention to the intention behind our words, our actions, and what we want to achieve. You know, if I'm in a job interview, I'm not going to tell them what all is wrong with their company, right? That's probably not the best place for that information to come forward. And if I'm going to the bank, I probably am going to ask for assistance and rather than tell them how badly staffed they are. So asking ourselves, why am I taking this action? Why am I saying these words? Does this get me closer to my desire, my long game, if you will? Does it get me there? In the movie, the coach's intention was to prove that the community of Mexican Americans could and should play on all of the courses there in South Texas. He believed that if they played by the rules of golf, that if they did what they were supposed to, that they would be more accepted and therefore set the example for the whole community. He was playing the long game with his eye on the flag of community acceptance. And there's several scenes you'll see in the movie where his response exemplifies that goal. His response in his moment, in the short game, if you will, his reaction was a response towards his long game, his long-term goal. You'll see that in the movie. I won't share it in case you haven't seen it. There's a lot of quotes, and I didn't realize the one I'm using was in your clip this morning, but you've already heard it, so you're going to hear it again. It's the one from Cheech Marin. You may know him from Cheech and Chong days. But he's in the movie and does a great job. And he told, it was the coach he was talking to, when he said, sometimes you land on the green, sometimes you land in the bunker, but you always play it where it lies. You always play it where it lies. That's true of golf, and that's true in life, is it not? We play the hand we've been dealt, so to speak. Whether we're on the green or in the sand trap, figuratively or literally, those shots are usually part of what we call the short game. Lord knows mine needs work, but that's been a 30-year problem, right? One of the things that I learned from PGA legend Bobby Jones, remember him from the 20s or 30s? He was a big star. He said golf is played on a 5-inch course, the one between your ears, right here. Golf and life are a lot that way, aren't they? I mean, we teach that here as far as our thoughts, the impact they have on our life. Well, I can tell you from personal experience that thoughts have a lot of impact on your golf game. If I hit a bad shot and I go off into the woods or the rough or wherever I go, I might get all wound up in my head about it. The bigger one is probably when I feel like I'm being pushed from the group behind me. And the stories I'm making up. Girls on the golf course always slow things down. Oh my gosh. Had to fight that battle for a long time. But I began to tell a different story. Those are all scratch golfers. They hit a lot less shots than I do. They need to just cool their jets or ask us to play through. Those are the rules of the game of golf, right? But if I allow myself to get wound up in my head about that, start taking shortcuts, start taking short shots, my game just gets all flustered and I get even worse and delay them even more. And that's what we do in life. That's what we can do in life. We can be our own best friend and our own worst enemy. Anybody ever watched any golf? Played any golf? You ever seen a golfer get angry or frustrated? Maybe throw a club or a golf bag in his case. Yeah, he got pretty upset. John Daly was famous for this. But learning to control our minds, whether in golf or life, is a key to achieving that long-term game. We do it by playing the short game well. In golf, the long game is that drive off the tee box. Maybe it's 300 yards. Gets you a long way down the course. That counts as one stroke. You get up to the putting green, you've got a 1-foot putt. That also counts as one stroke. So the long game is important, but it's more forgiving than the short game. The long game, you can be off the center of the fairway by 20 yards either way and easily recover. If you're off 20 yards on your 1-foot putt, you're on the next tee box. So it's important to recognize that the short game, the day-to-day thoughts that we have, our interactions in every moment are what is taking us through that long game to the flag, the goal, the desire, the dream, the vision of our life, whatever it is. It's that little stuff we do every single day still counts as that one stroke, right? Still counts as that one stroke. We need to know what our long game is. We need to know what the vision is of our life. What is the legacy that we want to leave? What flag do you have your eye on? One of the many frustrations in golf is that one for one stroke, no matter how long it is. And that 5-inch game between your ears makes all the difference. I've come to realize through this teaching and through golf, the control of my mind, of my thinking, of my reactions, of my thoughts, my emotions on that little 5-inch course up here is the key to success. It's the key to success. It's the difference between emotional reactions and controlled responses. It's the difference in criticizing a business or choosing to be kind, understanding. Each of us has the gift of choice, and we get to choose in every single moment what we're going to do, how we're going to be, what we're going to say. I invite us to choose love. I invite us to choose love. When we remember that we're here to love, the great commandment, love one another, and we begin to live that in our minds, in our immediate family and friends and our circle, and that ripple continues to grow and grow, that's when we begin to see our vision of a world that works for everyone. So let's look at some spiritual practices this week. You can sign up for the Mindful Monday newsletter recap of today's talk and the newsletter on Saturdays in one QR code in the lobby or online. So your spiritual practices this week, first one is spend time reflecting on the long game of your life. What is the flag or the goal that you're focused on? What is the goal or the flag that you're focused on? And then use the journal prompt. Are my daily thoughts supporting me in reaching that goal? Are my daily thoughts supporting me in reaching my goal? Or whatever words I used up there, but that's the gist of it. And just ask yourself those questions. Did my thoughts and actions yesterday support my goal? If not, how can I make tweaks and changes today? So we'll close this morning with Ernest Holmes, the founder of CSL and the author of The Science of Mind, reminding us that we should assume the attitude that life holds nothing against us. It desires only our good. It wants us to be well, happy, and successful. But it wants us to play the game of life the way it's supposed to be played, in unity and cooperation with others. This week, let's focus on the short game to have a better long game. So it is. And so we open the microphone for any questions, comments, or thoughts you may have about our. Jennifer? Okay.
This one's a hard one because I talk negatively about my supervisor because my goal is to retire, and I know when I can, but I want to stay longer so I have money. But when she says negative things about me or lies about me, it makes me want to leave. So I'm good at what I do. I love my job, but I'm leaving because of her.
Mm-hmm. Is there a question in there? Or is that just to share?
Job I do, I do what I'm supposed to do, and I do it well. It just like today, even somebody asked me if I was still working for the hospital, and I said yeah, and then I said something negative because I guess I'm hurt that I'm leaving and I don't want to.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know how to turn it around because just there seems to be a lot of things that are thrown at me negatively.
Mm-hmm. That is exactly what the movie's about today. These young Mexican Americans have a lot thrown at them. The coach has a lot thrown at him. But you can see most of the time they keep their eye on the flag and what the ultimate goal is. And I think some questions for yourself would be, why do her words affect me this way? Why? Mm-hmm. Understood. Understood. And have you had conversations with her about that? Okay. Okay. All right. Um, Again, it's here that you get to make the decision on this 5-inch course. Can you be the duck that lets the water run off their back and go, ha ha ha, I get to work longer and make money because I love my job and doing what I want to do. I don't care about that. I'm doing what I want to do. Or do you simply say, my peace of mind is more important, I'm gone? That's a choice that you get to make. And you can either, play the game differently here or simply walk away. And there's probably a third option too that's not coming to mind right now. Anyone else? Jim.
Kind of tangential to that, Penny. I've got a friend who, no matter what apartment he gets into, always has conflicts with the management. And I think that there are certain things in our culture that we're just programmed to have automatic antipathy towards, that you expect an adversarial relationship with your landlord because that's how it always is. And maybe these are internalized beliefs that we need to really look at and say, why do I think that way? Is this my belief? Do I want to continue to build my life because of that? Yeah.
Yeah, good, Jim. Very good. Anybody else? Jim.
I think this is something I've always kind of been aware of, but lately it just seems like it's coming up more and more. The idea of I'm struggling to balance the idea of focusing on the positive things, and in that practice, my intention is to bring more positivity into the world around me, and also, I have a lot of friends who are experiencing the world a lot differently than I do, and it feels like I'm dishonoring their experience to not be aware of, and also thinking about the things that are happening to them that aren't of their own making. If that makes sense, without being too specific.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That is a place where we are today in our world. And as a religious scientist, it's one of the callings of our work, because even in our movement right now, there's a, I don't want to call it a divide. It's just branching, where there's a group that wants to really focus on the social justice aspects of the world, and the group that wants to focus on the teaching and what we've always taught. And both are right. Both are right. And I think we're all called to our own personal ministry, whether it's up here or out in the world. We all have our personal ministry and how we show up and be an example to others. And the experience of the world they're having, where is it happening?
I mean, it could be happening in the grocery store.
Yeah.
It could be happening in. Okay, so
It's how are we receiving it? How are we receiving what's coming at us? And that's the hard part, is because we want to be, the landlord here apparently seems to have changed the restroom locks and not told us what they are. Sorry, guys. I know. I'm watching. You got them? Will let us go? I know. Sorry, guys. Yeah, I've been checking. They haven't responded yet. But anyway, so, what's my reaction to that? I can be angry and call them imbeciles and all that kind of stuff for not letting us know and inconveniencing everyone. I apologize for that. But that's not going to solve and resolve anything. How can I be who I am as a New Thought minister in that situation and still achieve what I need, which is the restroom codes, when I can't get a contact with anybody? And so it's just being aware of the avalanche of information that's coming at all of us, and truly not knowing what's true anymore, when we really don't. And we choose to filter and pull out the pieces that resonate with us, either on the affirmative, that's a good thing, or that's a horrible thing, and focus on that. And then that becomes our world. And I think you're a great example to folks who are struggling, to help them see differently, a broader perspective, the temporary nature of everything. That's one of the keys of our teaching, is everything's temporary. It's all changing. We're constantly growing and expanding. This too shall pass. I don't know if that's helpful at all.
most of it is, yeah.
Okay.
So I'm glad I asked the question. I'm glad we had this conversation. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. You always bring me good stuff. I appreciate it. Anybody else? All right. How about we do a prayer this morning? Oh, how good it is that we come together on these beautiful Sunday mornings in this community to share our hearts, our thoughts, our minds, our love, our joys and our sorrows. That's what community is about. And you're blessed to have this one to come to each week. As we come and we unite in the oneness and the wholeness that God is and we are, and that all of our brothers and sisters are, we are one in unity with all of it. The apparent good, bad, ugly, different, whatever it may be, we are one in it. We are one with it. And so today I speak my word for anyone, any place on this planet, who is feeling oppressed, who is stressed, who is feeling afraid, scared, joyful, enthusiastic, whatever, wherever they may be, just knowing that they feel the presence of God, the presence of that divine something, that universal energy, that presence of love, touching their hearts and giving them at least a moment's peace that all is well, that good exists, and I'm okay. I invite you to join me in sending that out into the world this moment. So grateful that we are a group who is present to each other and to others in our community, not in this center, but in our greater community, the grocery, the bank, wherever we may be, that we can be that light for them. When things look dark, when things look scary, that we can bring peace, we can bring our light. Sharing it does not diminish us in any way. I know for anyone this morning in this room or online who has anything on their heart, that as they lift that into the consciousness of this room, this prayer, that we as community bless them, bless that, knowing the perfect unfolding of whatever that need is, whatever that desire is. And there's such gratitude here for this prayer, its manifestation, for this center, for each and every one who comes, who serves, who's a part of it, who watches online today or later, knowing that we're all one, no matter what. I just joyfully release this prayer into the action and activity of law, knowing that it is done, it is made manifest. And we affirm together by saying, and so it is.